I came home from work 12 years ago to find my wife gone, our two young children alone in the living room, watching cartoons, and a handwritten note on the kitchen counter that simply read, "I never wanted to be a mom. I cannot do this anymore. Do not try to find me." No warning signs, no discussions. Just a complete abandonment of our family for her new boyfriend, leaving me to raise our 6-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter alone. Last week, my now grown children surprised me with the keys to a new house they had saved for together. Then my ex-wife reappeared, demanding half of everything. Before I share how this journey unfolded, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you believe family is about who stays, not who leaves. I met Allison during my senior year of college in Portland. I was studying engineering, planning to join my uncle's construction company after graduation. She was an art major, with dreams of traveling the world, capturing its beauty through her photography. We were opposites in many ways, but that created a balance I found irresistible. Her spontaneity pulled me out of my methodical approach to life, and my stability gave her a safe space to express her creativity. After dating for 2 years, I proposed on a hiking trip to Multnomah Falls. The waterfall provided a perfect backdrop as I dropped to one knee, presenting a ring that had taken me months to save for. Her eyes filled with tears as she said yes. We married 6 months later in a small ceremony attended by close family and friends, promising to build a life together centered on love, honesty, and partnership. The first years of marriage were everything I had hoped for. We moved into a modest starter home I had renovated myself, working evenings and weekends to make it perfect. Allison took photography jobs for local businesses, while I advanced from junior engineer to project manager at my uncle's company. We traveled when we could, explored our city, and enjoyed the freedom of being young and in love. The conversation about starting a family began 3 years into our marriage. I had always wanted children, having grown up in a warm, loving household with parents who prioritized family above all else. Allison seemed hesitant at first, mentioning concerns about how children would impact her career and our freedom. "What about my photography? My travels?" she asked one night over dinner. "We will figure it out together," I assured her. "Plenty of people balance careers and parenthood, and we will still travel, just with little ones in tow." After several months of discussions, Allison seemed to come around to the idea. She stopped taking her birth control, and within a year we were expecting our son Ethan. I was ecstatic, renovating the spare bedroom into a nursery, reading parenting books, and attending every doctor's appointment. Allison went through the motions, but never showed the same enthusiasm. I chalked it up to first-time pregnancy anxiety and hormonal changes. When Ethan was born, I fell in love instantly, with his tiny fingers and curious eyes. Allison, however, struggled. The pediatrician called it postpartum depression and prescribed medication and therapy. I took extended leave from work to support her, handling night feedings and diaper changes while encouraging her to rest and recover. Gradually, Allison seemed to adjust to motherhood. She started taking Ethan to Mommy and Me classes and capturing beautiful photographs of his milestones. When she suggested having another child so Ethan would have a sibling close in age, I was surprised but delighted. Maybe she had finally embraced motherhood after all. Emma was born 2 years after Ethan, a perfect little girl with her mother's green eyes and artistic temperament. Our family felt complete, and I threw myself into being the best father and husband I could be. I coached Ethan's t-ball team, attended Emma's dance recitals, and still made time for date nights, with Allison wanting to ensure our marriage remained strong amid the chaos of raising young children. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming that I was too busy to notice. Allison became increasingly distant, spending more time on her phone and taking weekend photography workshops that grew longer and more frequent. When she was home, she often seemed distracted or irritated by the children's normal noise and needs. "They are so demanding," she complained one night after the kids were in bed. "Sometimes I feel like I cannot breathe in this house." I suggested she take more time for herself, even offering to handle the kids alone so she could have a weekend getaway. "You deserve a break," I told her, wanting to be supportive of her needs. What I did not realize was that what she wanted was not a temporary break, but a permanent escape. The day everything changed was ordinary in every way. I went to work, attended meetings, and called Allison at lunch as usual. She seemed fine, mentioning she was thinking of taking the kids to the park that afternoon. I told her I would pick up pizza for dinner on my way home. When I arrived at our house around 6 o'clock, the front door was unlocked. Ethan and Emma were in the living room watching a movie still in their school clothes from that morning. No dinner had been started. No sign of Allison. "Where is Mommy?" I asked Ethan, trying to keep my voice casual. "She said she had to go somewhere important," he replied, eyes still fixed on the screen. "She said you would be home soon to make us dinner." I checked our bedroom and found Allison's closet partially empty, her favorite clothes and personal items gone. On the kitchen counter sat a plain white envelope with my name written on it. Inside was a single page torn from a notebook, Mark 1. I never wanted to be a mom. I tried for years to make it work because I loved you, but I cannot pretend anymore. This life is suffocating me. I need to find myself again. James understands me in ways you never could. Do not try to find me. The kids are better off with you anyway. I am sorry. Allison. James. The name hit me like a physical blow. He was a photographer Allison had met at a workshop 6 months earlier. She had mentioned him occasionally, describing him as a mentor who was helping advance her career. Now I understood the weekend workshops and late-night editing sessions for what they really were, an affair that had been happening right under my nose. I crumpled the note in my fist, fighting back tears as I turned to see Ethan and Emma watching me from the doorway, confusion in their young eyes. In that moment, I made a promise to myself, and to them, no matter what happened next, they would never doubt that they were loved, valued, and worth staying for. "Daddy, is Mommy coming back?" Emma asked that first night as I tucked her into bed, her small voice breaking my heart anew. How do you explain to a 4-year-old that her mother has abandoned her, that she chose a new boyfriend over her own children? I could not bring myself to share the cruel truth in the note that Allison had never wanted to be their mother in the first place. "Mommy needed to go away for a while, sweetie," I said, smoothing her hair. "But I am right here, and I am not going anywhere. Ever." The first few weeks were a blur of logistics and raw emotion. I took emergency family leave from work and filed a missing persons report, though the police quickly determined Allison had left voluntarily after finding charges on our credit card for a one-way flight to California. I hired a lawyer who explained my options: file for divorce on grounds of abandonment, seek full custody, and potentially pursue child support. "But first, you need to stabilize your home situation," my attorney advised. Courts look favorably on parents who maintain consistency for the children during upheaval. That became my singular focus. I arranged for a neighbor to watch the kids before and after school while I worked. I learned to braid Emma's hair for dance class, helped Ethan with his reading homework, and figured out how to balance work deadlines with school events. My mother drove up from Eugene twice a month to help, and my sister took the kids for occasional weekends to give me a much-needed break. Through it all, I maintained a neutral stance about Allison with the children. When Ethan asked why Mommy did not call them, I simply said, "Sometimes adults make decisions that are hard to understand, but it has nothing to do with you or anything you did." I hung their artwork on the refrigerator, kept family photos on the walls, and celebrated their achievements with enthusiasm, determined to fill the void their mother had left. The divorce was finalized 6 months after Allison's disappearance. She responded to the legal notices through an attorney, but never appeared in person. The judge granted me full custody with no visitation rights for Allison, though she was ordered to pay child support, an obligation she would consistently ignore over the years to come. As months turned into years, our new normal took shape. I was promoted to senior project manager, a role that offered better pay and more flexible hours. We settled into routines: Sunday pancake breakfasts, movie nights on Fridays, and summer camping trips to the coast. I learned that being both mother and father meant embracing my vulnerabilities, asking for help when needed, and sometimes simply sitting with the kids through their sadness when they missed having a mother. When Emma was 8, she came home from school crying after Mother's Day activities, clutching a card she had made with no one to give it to. That night I sat on the edge of her bed and finally had an age-appropriate conversation about why her mother had left. "Your mom was struggling with some very grown-up problems that had nothing to do with you," I explained. "Some people find it very difficult to be parents even though they might want to try. It does not mean you are not lovable or wonderful. In fact, you are the most amazing daughter anyone could ask for." Emma looked at me with her serious green eyes. "Do you ever wish you could leave too?" she asked in a small voice. I gathered her into my arms, my heart breaking all over again. "Never," I said firmly. "Being your dad is the best, most important thing I will ever do." There is nowhere in the world I would rather be than right here with you and Ethan. As the children grew older, Allison became more of an abstract concept than a real person in their lives. Occasionally, a birthday card would arrive with no return address or a small gift at Christmas. Once when Emma was 10, Allison called out of the blue, asking to speak with the children. The conversation was brief and awkward, with both kids unsure what to say to this stranger who happened to be their mother. She did not call again for another 2 years. Through middle school and into high school, both children thrived, despite the absence of their mother. Ethan developed a passion for architecture, spending hours sketching buildings and creating structures with sophisticated computer programs. Emma discovered a talent for writing filling journals with stories and poems that displayed emotional depth beyond her years. I dated occasionally during those years, but nothing serious developed. Most relationships ended when women realized my children would always be my priority. I was okay with that choice, finding fulfillment in watching Ethan and Emma grow into thoughtful, resilient young adults who understood the value of commitment and family. The construction company flourished under my leadership after my uncle retired, allowing me to provide a comfortable life for my children. I helped Ethan apply for college scholarships and cheered from the audience when Emma won state writing competitions. Through it all, there was an unspoken understanding among the three of us. We had formed an unbreakable unit, strengthened, rather than broken by Allison's abandonment. When Ethan graduated high school as valedictorian, I sat in the auditorium bursting with pride, recording every moment to share with my parents who could not attend due to my father's health issues. As Ethan spoke about perseverance and finding strength in adversity, I caught him looking directly at me, acknowledgement of our shared journey in his eyes. "Sometimes the people who should stay in your life leave," he said from the podium, "and that teaches you to appreciate those who choose to remain, who show up every day without fanfare or recognition." 2 years later, at Emma's graduation, I experienced that same overwhelming pride. My little girl had become a poised young woman, accepted to several prestigious universities for creative writing. As we took photos afterward, Emma hugged me tightly and whispered, "We made it, Dad." Just the three of us. Just the three of us. Those words captured our family perfectly, born, not from traditional structure, but from unwavering commitment and love that never walked away, even when the path was difficult. Last month marked 12 years since Allison had left. Ethan, now 18, had just completed his freshman year of college studying architectural engineering. Emma, 16, was preparing for her senior year of high school, with plans to pursue journalism. I had recently turned 42, with more gray in my hair, but also more peace in my heart than I ever thought possible after that devastating day. Over the years, our modest starter home had begun, showing its age. The roof needed replacing, the kitchen was outdated, and the single bathroom created morning traffic jams, even with just the three of us. I had been saving for renovations, but prioritized college funds for the kids instead. We made do with minor repairs, joking about the temperamental water heater and creaky stairs as if they were quirky family members. One Friday evening, Ethan called from college, saying he was coming home for the weekend and needed me to meet him at an address across town on Saturday morning. He was mysteriously vague about the reason, simply insisting it was important. Emma seemed equally secretive, avoiding eye contact when I asked if she knew what was going on. Saturday morning arrived with perfect June sunshine. I followed the GPS to an address in a quiet neighborhood about 15 minutes from our home, pulling up to a charming 2-story craftsman with a wide front porch and mature maple trees shading the yard. Ethan's car was already in the driveway, with Emma standing beside it, practically bouncing with excitement. "What are we doing here?" I asked, approaching them with confusion. "Are you helping a friend move or something?" Ethan and Emma exchanged meaningful glances before Ethan pulled an envelope from his pocket and handed it to me. Inside was a key, attached to a simple wooden keychain engraved with our family initials. "What is this?" I asked, still not understanding. "It is the key to your new house, Dad," Emma said, her voice breaking with emotion. "Our new house." Stunned, I looked from the key to my children, and back to the beautiful home behind them. "I do not understand." Ethan put his hand on my shoulder. "Remember how I have been working for that architecture firm since high school, and Emma's writing scholarships and that social media consulting job she started. We have been saving every penny. The down payment is from both of us, and the mortgage is in your name, but we have set up an account to help with the payments, until we are both working full-time after college. The timing works perfectly, Emma added. I can live here during my senior year, and Ethan will be home for summers. Then, when we are both at college, you will finally have that quiet space you deserve after raising us alone all these years. I stood speechless, the key heavy in my palm, tears blurring my vision. These children whom I had protected and nurtured through the pain of abandonment had somehow grown into young adults with such generosity of spirit that they would do this incredible thing for me. You two have been my whole world, I finally managed to say. I never expected anything in return for being your dad. That is not how parenting works. We know, Ethan said simply. That is exactly why you deserve this. Because you never asked for anything, but gave everything. The house was perfect, with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a modern kitchen, and a backyard workshop where I could pursue my woodworking hobby. The kids led me through each room, pointing out features they had specifically chosen with me in mind. The deep soaking tub for my sore back after long workdays. The kitchen island where we could continue our tradition of Sunday pancake. Breakfast, the built-in bookshelves for my history book collection. That evening, as we sat on our new front porch, making plans for moving, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it, but answered at the last moment. Is this Mark Wilson? A female voice asked, vaguely familiar, yet changed by time. Yes, this is Mark, I replied cautiously. It is Allison, she said, and my blood ran cold. I heard about the house. I stepped away from Ethan and Emma, walking to the far corner of the yard. How did you hear about that? I asked, keeping my voice low. James follows Emma on Instagram, she explained. She posted about surprising you with a new house. I cannot believe they did that without consulting me. The audacity of her statement left me momentarily speechless. In 12 years, she had sent perhaps a dozen cards, made a handful of phone calls, and contributed exactly $0 in court-ordered child support. Now she was concerned about not being consulted on a major family decision. There was no reason to consult you, Allison, I said evenly. You left. Remember, I may have left, but I am still their mother, she countered. And legally I am entitled to half of our marital assets. That would include equity in any property purchased with money earned during our marriage. The divorce settlement was finalized 12 years ago, I reminded her. Any assets acquired since then are separate property. Not if they were acquired using resources that should have come to me, she argued. I have spoken to a lawyer. The money you saved over the years while raising my children could be considered partially mine. I could have a claim on that house. My grip tightened on the phone as anger coursed through me. Your children, I corrected. The ones you abandoned when they were 4 and 6. The ones who have not received a single dollar of support from you in 12 years. Those children, I was young, she said, her voice softer now. I made mistakes, but they are still my blood. Parenthood is not about blood, Allison. It is about showing up every single day. I took a deep breath, seeing Ethan and Emma watching me with concern from the porch. I need to go be with my family now. If you have legal concerns, have your attorney contact mine. I hung up and returned to the porch, forcing a smile as I rejoined my children. When they asked who had called, I simply said it was work-related, not wanting to taint this perfect day with Allison's threats. But the next morning, the reality of her call could not be avoided when I received an email from her attorney, formally requesting financial records and making vague claims about parental alienation and denied visitation rights over the years. I forwarded the email to my own attorney, then sat Ethan and Emma down for an honest conversation. They deserved to know what was happening, and I had never protected them by hiding difficult truths, only by helping them process them in age-appropriate ways. Your mother has found out about the house, I explained gently. She is making some legal claims that will probably amount to nothing, but I want you to be aware. Emma's face flushed with anger. How dare she? She left us. She has no right to anything. Ethan remained calmer, always the analytical one. What exactly is she claiming, Dad? I explained as simply as possible. Allison was suggesting that money I had saved over the years should partially have gone to her, and therefore she might have a claim on assets purchased with those savings, including contributions to the house down payment. But we saved for the down payment, Emma said, confused. From our own earnings. She cannot touch that, can she? No, I assured her. Your contributions are completely separate. And honestly, her entire claim is weak. The divorce settlement was clear, and her failure to pay child support actually puts her in a vulnerable legal position. This is most likely just an attempt to get money now that she knows there might be some to get. What I did not tell them was that James Allison's boyfriend turned husband had apparently left her 6 months earlier, leaving her in a precarious financial situation. This information had come from my attorney, who had done some preliminary research after receiving her lawyer's email. Over the next 2 weeks, the legal posturing continued. Allison's attorney sent increasingly aggressive letters, while my own counsel confidently assured me her claims had no merit. The house purchase had been properly documented with clear records, showing the down payment came from Ethan and Emma's separate earnings, with no commingling of marital assets. Then, one afternoon as I was supervising the movers at our old house, a car pulled into the driveway. The woman who stepped out was both familiar and a stranger 12 years older than the wife who had walked out on us with streaks of gray in her once purely auburn hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of hard living. Allison stood awkwardly by her car, watching as I directed the movers with the last of our furniture. When they drove away, we were left alone face to face for the first time in over a decade. "You look good, Mark," she said, finally breaking the silence. "The years have been kind to you." I did not return the platitude. "What are you doing here, Allison?" She gestured to the half-empty house behind me. "I wanted to see it one last time. This was my home too once." "You gave up that claim when you walked out on your family," I replied, keeping my voice neutral despite the anger and hurt that still lingered beneath the surface. "I know." She looked down at her hands, twisting a ring I did not recognize. "I also wanted to meet with you in person away from lawyers and legal threats. The truth is, I am broke, Mark. James left me for someone younger just like I left you. Karma, I suppose." "What do you want from me, Allison?" I asked directly. "Because if it is money, I do not owe you anything. I want to see them," she said, her voice catching. "Ethan and Emma. They are adults now, or nearly so. I have missed everything, and I know that is my fault. But they are still my children." I considered her request carefully. "They are old enough to make that decision for themselves," I finally said. "I will not stand in the way if they want to see you, but I will not push them into it either. They have had to process a lot of pain because of your choices." Allison nodded, tears spilling onto her cheeks. "I understand. And the legal claims? I will drop them. My lawyer was overzealous, and frankly I was desperate. But seeing you here, realizing all you have done for our children, while I contributed nothing, I have no right to make demands. I did not offer forgiveness or absolution. Those were not mine to give." The wounds she had inflicted belonged primarily to Ethan and Emma, and only they could decide what relationship, if any, they wanted with the mother who had abandoned them. "I will tell them you would like to meet," I said simply. "The decision is theirs." As Allison drove away, I felt a weight lifting, not because of any reconciliation, but because I finally recognized that her actions had never been about me or even the children. They had been about her own internal struggles, her own choices, and in facing those choices alone, I had discovered strength. I never knew I possessed building a family bound not by obligation, but by conscious daily love. We moved into the new house over the following weekend, a fresh start in a home that represented not just physical shelter, but the tangible manifestation of our family bond. Ethan took a week off from his summer internship to help with the move, and Emma unpacked with characteristic efficiency, making each room feel like home with thoughtful touches. As for Allison's request to meet with them, I presented it exactly as promised, without pressure or opinion. Emma initially refused outright, her hurt and anger still raw, despite the passing years. Ethan, always more measured, said he would consider it, but needed time. 2 weeks after our conversation, Allison's attorney officially withdrew all legal claims related to the house or any other financial matters, providing written confirmation that she recognized she had no valid claim to any assets acquired after the divorce. My attorney assured me that this ended any potential legal threat, allowing us to move forward without that particular shadow. One evening, as we enjoyed dinner on the back deck of our new home, Emma surprised me by bringing up her mother, unprompted. "I have been thinking about Mom's request to meet," she said, pushing food around her plate. "I am not ready to see her yet, but I think I would like to exchange emails. Start slowly. Try to understand who she is now, and maybe why she left." Ethan nodded in agreement. "I feel the same way. I have no real memories of her as a mother, just photographs and stories. I am curious about her, but not ready for an in-person meeting. I reached out and squeezed each of their hands. Whatever you decide is okay. There is no right or wrong way to handle this situation. Just know that your relationship with her, whatever form it takes, does not change anything about our family. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, and as I watched my children laughing together, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Despite the painful beginning of our journey, or perhaps because of it, we had forged an unbreakable bond. Ethan and Emma had grown into compassionate, resilient adults who understood that love is a choice made daily, not a feeling subject to whims or convenience. Our new home became a gathering place, not just for the three of us, but for extended family and friends. My parents, now in their 70s, visited often. My sister and her children joined us for holidays. We hosted backyard barbecues for neighbors and established new traditions alongside those we had maintained throughout the years. 6 months after our move, Ethan and Emma finally agreed to meet Allison for coffee during Ethan's winter break from college. They asked me to join them, wanting my supportive presence during this emotional encounter. The meeting was awkward but civil. Allison had aged visibly since I had seen her at our old house, the stress of recent years evident in her appearance. She asked questions about their lives, their interests, their plans for the future, listening with what seemed like genuine interest to their carefully edited responses. When Emma mentioned a spring break trip we were planning to the Grand Canyon, Allison's expression flickered with something like envy. "You three have built such a strong family," she observed quietly. "I see that now. Dad did that," Ethan replied, his voice firm but not unkind. "He showed us what it means to be family, to stick together no matter what." Afterward, as we drove home together, Emma asked the question that had clearly been on her mind throughout the meeting. "Do you ever regret it, Dad? Having to raise us alone? Giving up so much of your own life to be there for us?" I pulled into our driveway and turned to face both of my children, these remarkable human beings I had been privileged to raise. "Not for a single moment," I said truthfully. "Being your father has been the greatest joy and honor of my life. When your mother left, she created a vacuum that forced me to be more than I thought possible, to love more deeply than I knew I could. I would not trade our journey together for anything in the world." That night, lying in bed in my new home, I reflected on the long, sometimes difficult road we had traveled since finding that devastating note 12 years ago. From the broken pieces of one family, we had built something beautiful and enduring, a testament to the power of showing up day after day, of choosing love when it would have been easier to surrender to bitterness. The most profound lessons in life often come from our greatest challenges. In losing a wife, I had discovered my true purpose as a father. In being abandoned, Ethan and Emma had learned the immeasurable value of commitment. And in building a home together, literally and figuratively, we had created something no legal claim or distant parent could ever diminish or take away. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after someone walked away? How did that experience shape your understanding of family? Share your story in the comments below. And if this journey resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear that family is defined not by blood or legal ties, but by who chooses to stay, to love, to show up every single day. Thank you for listening, and remember that sometimes our most painful beginnings lead to our most beautiful destinations.